Commander Jack Miller floated through the quiet corridors of the International Space Station. The gentle hum of equipment was the only sound besides his steady breathing. 12 years in the Navy and 3 tours on the ISS had not prepared him for today. "Commander, we have an unidentified object approaching. Fast." The voice of his communications officer crackled through his earpiece. "How fast?" Miller asked, pushing himself toward the observation deck. "Sir, it's already here." Miller reached the large window and froze. Outside, hanging against the blackness of space, was a vessel unlike anything humans had built. It gleamed with a silvery blue light and was at least 3 times the size of the ISS. "All personnel to emergency stations," Miller ordered. "But nobody does anything stupid. We don't know what we're dealing with." Before anyone could respond, a bright light flashed inside the command module. Miller rushed in to find 3 figures standing in the center of the room. They looked almost human, but their skin had a faint purple tone, and their eyes were too large, too dark. The tallest one stepped forward. "I am High Counselor Zex Terry of the Galactic Council. Your species has been monitored since your first radio transmissions. The time has come to formalize your relationship with galactic society." Miller stood tall despite the weightlessness. "Commander Jack Miller, International Space Station. We weren't expecting visitors." The alien made a sound like water flowing over rocks. Miller realized it was laughing. "Of course not. Category 3 species rarely do." Zex Terry waved a slender hand. "We represent the combined authority of the 17 most advanced civilizations in this sector. We are here to offer Earth membership in our collective." "That sounds interesting," Miller said carefully. "I'm not authorized to discuss such matters. We should arrange a meeting with our world leaders." The alien nodded. "That will happen. But understand the terms first. Earth must contribute 30% of all natural resources as entrance fee. This includes water, minerals, and biological specimens." Miller's face hardened. 30% would cripple our economies and ecosystems. "A small price for membership. You will gain access to technologies beyond your imagination." The alien's voice remained smooth, unconcerned. "And if we refuse?" Zex Terry's large eyes narrowed. "There is no refusal. You are Category 3, technologically developing but useful for labor and resources. The Council's decision is final." One of the other aliens stepped forward, holding out a small crystal device. "This contains the complete terms. Your world has 30 days to begin compliance. After that, regulatory action will commence." Miller did not take the device. "I think you'll find humans don't respond well to threats." "It is not a threat. It is policy." Zex Terry turned to leave, then paused. "We have studied your history. Your species fights among itself constantly. You will not stand united against us." After the aliens disappeared in another flash of light, chaos erupted. Government hotlines lit up around the world. News stations broadcast confused reports about the encounter. The stock market plummeted. In Washington, President Catherine Warren stared at the crystal device, now secured in a containment chamber at NASA headquarters. "What are our options?" she asked the room full of advisors. General Pete Martinez shook his head. "If their technology can teleport through our defenses, we're outmatched." "We don't know what they're capable of," said Susan Baker, Secretary of State. "But we can't give up a third of Earth's resources." The crystal projected images above the table, detailed inventories of Earth's assets, complex legal text, and star maps showing Earth as a tiny dot in one corner. "Get me Commander Miller," the President ordered. "I want to hear exactly what he saw in these aliens." On the ISS, Miller was already recording everything he could remember about the encounter. Something about the Council representatives bothered him. They were too confident, too dismissive. As Earth's governments argued about the right response, Miller watched the alien ship hovering at a distance. He had fought enough battles to recognize when someone was bluffing. "They need something from us," he whispered to himself. "And they're in a hurry to get it." 30 days. The countdown had begun. 23 hours after the alien visit, the United Nations Assembly Hall buzzed with fear. Representatives from every country packed the room. Commander Jack Miller stood at the podium next to President Warren, still wearing his flight suit after the emergency shuttle ride from the space station. The aliens called themselves the Galactic Council, Miller explained. They acted like this was a standard process, like taking our resources was just paperwork to them. Dr. Elizabeth Hartman stepped forward. With her gray-streaked hair pulled back tightly, she looked every bit the serious scientist. As America's leading expert on theoretical alien societies, she had been studying the crystal device nonstop. From what I can tell, the council operates like an empire, not a true council, Hartman said. They find developing worlds, take what they want, and move on. The records inside this device show they've done this to at least 27 other planets. The room erupted in shouts and questions. President Warren raised her hands for quiet. What happens to these other worlds? She asked. Hartman's face darkened. They become resource colonies. The people survive, but barely. Some are used as labor. It's not good. Alan Garcia, a NASA engineer with thick glasses and quick hands, pushed through the crowd with a tablet. Madam President, we've detected something else, he said. They left satellites around Earth. At least 12 of them, in different orbits. They're watching us. Miller wasn't surprised. They're making sure we comply. Can we shoot them down? Asked General Martinez. Garcia shook his head. We don't know what would happen if we tried. They might have weapons. The Chinese ambassador stood up. My government believes we should negotiate. Perhaps we can offer less than 30%. The message was clear, Miller said. They don't negotiate with Category 3 species. We're not equals to them. President Warren stepped to the center of the stage. Her voice was firm. The United States will not surrender our resources to threats. I propose a united Earth response. No compliance, no surrender. Many nodded in agreement, but fear showed on every face. As the meeting continued, Miller pulled Garcia and Hartman aside. Something isn't adding up, he said quietly. I've faced enough enemies to know when someone's desperate. These aliens, they seemed rushed, almost nervous. Hartman nodded. The records in the crystal are incomplete, like they didn't want to give us too much information. That's not how you treat a helpless species. Maybe they're not as powerful as they want us to think, Garcia suggested. Their conversation was interrupted by alarms blaring through the building. On the main screen, satellite images showed a bright flash on the moon. We've lost contact with Lunar Base Alpha, someone shouted. The small research outpost on the moon had housed 12 scientists. The screen showed only rubble where it once stood. A new message appeared on every screen and device worldwide. High Counselor Zex Terry's face looked out at them. This demonstration shows our seriousness, the alien said calmly. 28 days remain for compliance. Further resistance will result in escalation. The message ended. Silence fell over the assembly. President Warren's hands gripped the podium until her knuckles turned white. They just killed 12 people. Miller stepped closer to Hartman and Garcia. We need to know more about them. Their weaknesses, their real capabilities. I can try to hack deeper into the crystal, Garcia whispered. There might be information they didn't mean to share. Hartman nodded. And I'll compare their behavior to their stated policies. If they're breaking their own rules, that tells us something. As world leaders argued about the right response, Miller stared at the image of the destroyed moon base. The aliens had crossed a line. They hadn't just threatened Earth anymore. They had drawn first blood. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, in a facility not on any official maps, Miller, Hartman, and Garcia worked without rest. 3 days had passed since the moon base destruction. The president had moved them to this secret location, away from prying alien eyes. I found something, Garcia said, looking up from his computer. His eyes were red from lack of sleep. These council satellites have regular communication patterns. Every 6 hours, they send data bursts back to their ship. Miller leaned over Garcia's shoulder. Can we listen in? Better. Garcia smiled. I think we can send false data. Make them see what we want them to see. Hartman entered the room with a stack of papers. The crystal had more than we thought. The Council isn't one united group. It's 12 different species, but 3 of them control everything. The Zeks, the Taurians, and the Velox. Like a ruling class, Miller said. Exactly. And they've been doing this for thousands of years. Find a new world, take what they need. Move on. Hartman spread maps across the table. These show worlds they've already harvested. Some are completely stripped of resources. Miller studied the maps. Are there any worlds that fought back? Hartman pointed to a small notation. This one, planet called Krill. But the record just says resistance neutralized. No details. Garcia's computer beeped. I've cracked another section of the crystal. There's something called the Unilined, mentioned repeatedly. Seems like a group that operates outside council authority. Rebels? Miller asked. Maybe, or just independent worlds. Garcia typed rapidly. The council seems worried about them. Miller made a decision. If these Unilined exist, we need to find them. Potential allies. Hartman looked skeptical. How do we contact aliens we know nothing about? The satellites, Garcia said suddenly. If I can hack their communication system, maybe we can send a message out. For hours, Garcia worked on the problem while Miller and Hartman planned Earth's defense. The world governments had publicly agreed to consider the Council's demands, while secretly preparing for war. But Earth weapons seemed primitive compared to alien technology. We need an edge, Miller said. Something they won't expect. Near midnight, Garcia jumped from his chair. I did it. I'm in their system. On his screen, strange symbols flowed. It's encrypted, but I can send basic signals through their network, like turning a light on and off in a pattern. Send an SOS, Miller suggested. It's simple and universal. Garcia programmed the signal and sent it repeatedly into space through the Council's own communication network. Then they waited. 2 days passed with no response. The team continued preparing, testing Earth weapons against materials similar to the Council ship. Nothing seemed effective. On the 5th day underground, alarms blared through the facility. Something's approaching, a technician shouted. Small craft, coming in fast. Miller grabbed his gun. Everyone on alert. This could be a Council attack. The radar showed a tiny vessel landing in the forest 5 miles from their hidden entrance. Security cameras captured a single figure emerging. It wasn't Zexteri or any Council species they recognized. This alien was shorter, with reddish skin and 4 arms. It's responding to our signal, Garcia said, checking his equipment. It's sending the same SOS pattern back. It could be a trap, Hartman warned. Miller checked his weapon. Only one way to find out. I'll take a team to meet it. An hour later, Miller stood in a forest clearing facing the strange alien. Up close, its skin looked like rough bark, and its eyes glowed amber. I am Krillvac, the alien said in perfect English. My people fought the Council centuries ago. We lost our world but saved our freedom. It extended one of its 4 hands. You sent a call for help, I answered. Miller slowly reached out and shook the alien's hand. How did you learn our language so quickly? We've been watching Earth for years, Krillvac said, waiting for you to reach out. The Council fears humans more than they admit. Why would they fear us? Miller asked. Krillvac's eyes glowed brighter. Because you are unpredictable, and because you have something they desperately need. Krillvac sat in the underground facility's conference room. His 4 arms moved in graceful patterns as he spoke. Miller, Hartman, and Garcia listened with growing hope. The Council is not as strong as they want you to believe, Krillvac explained. They face rebellions in 12 different star systems. Their forces are stretched thin. Then why come to Earth now? asked Hartman. Krillvac pointed to a mineral sample on the table. Your planet has large deposits of what you call rare Earth elements. The Council needs them for their faster-than-light drives. Miller leaned forward. So they're desperate. Yes, their mining worlds are depleted. Without new sources, their ships will eventually stop working. Krillvac's amber eyes flickered. But they didn't expect humans to resist so quickly. Garcia had been quiet, typing notes. Now he looked up. What makes us different? Other worlds have fought back. Your adaptability. Krillvac displayed a hologram showing human history. Most species develop one way of fighting and stick to it. Humans constantly change tactics. The Council's military uses the same strategies they've used for 1,000 years. Miller thought about this. Their playbook is predictable. Exactly, said Krillvac. And there's more. I've brought technical specifications of their weapons and ships. Garcia took the alien data drive eagerly. Within hours, he had a breakthrough. Their weapons use a specific energy frequency, he explained to the team. If we adjust our satellite network, we might be able to jam their targeting systems. President Warren, connected via secure video, gave immediate approval. How long to implement this protection? 3 days to modify enough satellites, Garcia said. You have 2, she replied. Our intelligence suggests they're planning another demonstration attack. The team worked around the clock. Garcia led engineers in reprogramming Earth's satellites using parts from Krillvac's ship. Miller coordinated with military forces worldwide, teaching them new tactics based on Council weaknesses. On the morning of the second day, alarms sounded. A Council scout ship had entered Earth's atmosphere. They're targeting the Pacific Naval Base, reported a technician. Miller watched the radar screen as the alien vessel approached. Are our defenses ready? 60% coverage, Garcia said. Not enough for the whole planet, but we can protect that area. President Warren gave the order. Activate Silent Shield. The modified satellites released an invisible energy field. On the screens, they watched as the Council ship's weapons fired but missed their targets, hitting empty ocean instead. It's working, Garcia shouted. They can't lock onto anything. The alien ship circled in apparent confusion. Then, without warning, a second Council vessel appeared and fired at areas not covered by the shield. 2 coastal cities suffered heavy damage before Earth's conventional weapons drove the ships away. Hours later, Miller surveyed the destruction from a helicopter. Hundreds dead, thousands injured. But it could have been much worse. They adapted quickly, he told Hartman over the radio. They realized their targeting systems were compromised and switched to manual aiming. But they didn't destroy their primary targets, she replied. Our military bases are intact. Back at the facility, Krillvac studied the attack data. This was led by a lower commander, not Sexteri. They're testing your defenses before committing their main forces. President Warren addressed the nation that evening. Her message was broadcast worldwide. Today we faced alien aggression and stood our ground, she said firmly. We will not surrender our planet. We will not give up our resources. Humanity will fight. Public opinion, previously divided on how to respond to the Council, unified behind resistance. Volunteers flooded military recruitment centers. Scientists worldwide shared research on potential alien countermeasures. As Miller watched the president's speech, Garcia rushed in with news. We just received a message, he said breathlessly. 5 more alien ships entering our solar system. But they're not Council vessels. Krillvac examined the signal and smiled with all 4 hands raised in what Miller now recognized as a gesture of joy. My allies have arrived, the alien said. Representatives from 5 species who want to stand with humans against the Council. The resistance grows stronger. The 5 alien ships landed in a remote desert area. Miller stood with Krillvac as strange beings emerged. They had different shapes, colors, and sizes, but they all shared one thing: hatred for the Galactic Council. The blue ones are Vex, water dwellers, Krillvac explained. The tall, thin ones are Neridians. The furry ones are Wolden. The floating crystals are Lumina. And the ones with 6 legs are Tracheri. A Vex leader stepped forward, water vapor surrounding its gills. We bring weapons and ships to your cause. The Council has taken from all of us. Miller nodded respectfully. Earth thanks you. But we need more than weapons. We need information. In the command center, Hartman had made an important discovery. She played an intercepted Council transmission for everyone. We can understand them now, she explained, and they're arguing among themselves. On the screen, Zexteri faced another alien. The new one had green scales and spoke angrily. This Velox counselor wants to abandon the attack on Earth, Hartman translated. He says humans are too dangerous and not worth the cost. But Zexteri insists they must make an example of us, Miller added. If they let Earth resist successfully, other worlds might follow. Garcia entered with more news. We've expanded Silent Shield to cover 40% of the planet, and I've been analyzing their ship designs with the Lumina. We found a weakness in their power systems. The alien allies shared their knowledge freely. The Wolden taught Earth scientists about Council biology. The Tracheri helped improve Garcia's jamming technology. The Neridians trained human soldiers in space combat. Miller developed a bold plan. We need to split the Council further. If we can communicate with other subjugated worlds, show them Earth is fighting back. We can help with that, said the Vex leader. Our people are scattered throughout Council space. Many work as laborers on their ships and stations. With Krillvak's guidance, they built communication devices that could bypass Council monitoring. The devices were small enough to smuggle onto trade ships. Soon, resistance groups on dozens of worlds received the message. Earth fights. You can too. 18 days had passed since the ultimatum. The Council attacked again, this time targeting military bases across the Pacific. Despite improved defenses, the damage was severe. 3 bases destroyed, thousands of casualties. But Garcia's countermeasures prevented the Council from hitting population centers, and Earth's conventional weapons, modified with alien help, managed to damage 2 Council ships. In Washington, President Warren faced the cameras again. Her expression was grim but determined. Today we lost brave men and women. But we also proved that these invaders are not invincible. Their ships can be damaged. Their attacks can be stopped. We will not surrender. The broadcast went out not just to Earth, but to every world with a resistance cell. For the first time in centuries, the Council faced coordinated opposition. In orbit, the Council flagship appeared. Larger than all previous ships, it cast a shadow over the planet below. Zexteri's face appeared on screens worldwide. Your resistance is noted, and will be punished, the alien said coldly. We have brought our High Commander, Grell Zext, to end this disturbance. Your defiance has earned special attention. After the transmission ended, Miller met with the alien allies and human leaders. They're committing their biggest ship, he said. That means they're worried. Krillvak agreed. The appearance of Grell Zext confirms it. He only leaves the Council homeworld for critical situations. Then we hit them now, while they're taking us seriously, Miller decided. Garcia, is the special project ready? Garcia nodded. The modified satellites can do more than jam their weapons. If we coordinate them just right, we could disable their flagship's engines. How long would it be stranded in orbit? Asked President Warren. Long enough for a boarding party, Miller replied. Long enough to bring the fight to them. The Neridian leader stepped forward. My people will provide the ships to reach their vessel. Miller looked around the room at humans and aliens working together. What had started as Earth's desperate resistance had become something bigger, something the Council had never faced before. A united front. The giant Council flagship hung in Earth's orbit like a metal moon. Smaller ships circled around it, ready to attack. On Earth, Miller prepared for the most important mission of his life. The plan is simple but dangerous, he told the joint human-alien strike team. Garcia will trigger the satellite network to disable their engines. The Neridian ships will take us to their docking bay during the confusion. Then we fight our way to the command center. 20 soldiers stood before him, 10 humans, and 10 aliens from the allied species. Each wore armor made from combined Earth and alien technology. "Remember, we need Grell Zex alive," Miller said. "Capturing their high commander will force the Council to negotiate." Garcia's voice came through the radio. "Satellite network is ready. We'll have about 12 minutes before their backup systems come online." President Warren addressed the team one last time. "What you do today may change the course of history, not just for Earth, but for all worlds under Council control. Good luck." The strike team boarded 3 Neridian ships. These vessels were smaller and faster than Council craft, with advanced cloaking technology. As they prepared for launch, Earth's defenders took positions. "All units ready," reported General Martinez. "Defense grid at maximum power." In the command center, Garcia sat before a wall of screens, fingers flying over controls. Initiating silent shield expansion now. Across the globe, thousands of modified satellites shifted position. They formed an invisible web around the planet, focusing their combined energy on the Council flagship. "Ready for Phase 2, Garcia said, his voice tense. "On your command, Madam President." Warren nodded. "Begin Operation Breaking Point." Garcia pressed the final button. The satellite network released a massive energy pulse aimed at the flagship. On the screens, they watched as lights across the massive alien vessel flickered and died. "Direct hit," Garcia shouted. "Their main systems are down." The 3 Neridian ships launched immediately, racing toward the disabled flagship. Council patrol vessels moved to intercept, but Earth's conventional weapons, missiles, and laser defenses provided cover fire. Inside the lid Neridian ship, Miller checked his weapon one last time. Krillvac stood beside him, all 4 hands holding different tools. "Remember," the alien said, "Grell Zex will be protected by elite guards. They wear armor that standard weapons cannot penetrate." "That's why we have these," Miller replied, holding up a special gun designed by Garcia using alien technology. "One shot should disrupt their shields." The Neridian ships approached the flagship's massive docking bay. With the main systems down, the bay doors remained partially open, just enough for the smaller vessels to slip through. "Brace for landing," called the Neridian pilot. "It won't be gentle." The ship skidded across the docking bay floor, sparks flying as metal scraped against metal. When it finally stopped, the doors burst open. Miller led the strike team out, weapons ready. Alarms blared throughout the flagship. Council guards rushed toward them, firing energy weapons. The strike team took cover behind cargo containers and returned fire. "Move forward," Miller shouted over the noise. "We have 10 minutes before their systems reset." Fighting their way through corridors, they faced increasingly strong resistance. 3 team members fell to enemy fire, but they pushed on, following Krillvac's directions toward the command center. 2 levels up, Krillvac said, checking the small device. "I can sense Grell Zex's personal signal." They reached a massive door guarded by 6 elite soldiers. The battle was fierce but quick. Miller's special weapon worked exactly as planned, disrupting the guards' shields and allowing the team to neutralize them. Krillvac worked on the door controls. "This will take time to bypass." "We don't have time," Miller said. He placed explosive charges around the doorframe. "Everyone back." The explosion shook the corridor. When the smoke cleared, the door was partially melted, hanging open just enough to slip through. Miller was the first to enter the command center. Inside, standing tall and proud before a wall of screens showing Earth below, was High Commander Grell Zex. Unlike the other council members Miller had seen, Grell Zex was massive, with golden armor and eyes that glowed with anger. The alien's voice was deep and resonant. "So the primitives have come to me," Grell Zex said. "I expected negotiations, begging, surrender. Not this. Audacity." Miller raised his weapon. "We don't bargain with tyrants. You're coming with us. Grelzek stood tall in the command center, seemingly unafraid despite being surrounded by Miller's strike team. His golden armor gleamed under the emergency lights. You cannot win this conflict, the High Commander said. The Council has ruled for 10,000 years. Hundreds of species have tried to resist. All have failed. Miller kept his weapon steady. We're not like the others, and we're not alone anymore. Grelzek laughed, a sound like grinding metal. Your little alliance, a few outcasts and rebels. Enough talk, Miller said. Your ship is disabled. Your forces are being pushed back across Earth. You're coming with us. The alien's eyes narrowed. You think capturing me will end this? The Council will send more ships, more commanders. Will they? Asked Krillvack, stepping forward. Or are you the last of their elite forces? The others are busy fighting rebellions across the galaxy, aren't they? A flash of surprise crossed Grelzek's face. Before he could respond, the ship shuddered violently. Emergency alarms blared. Engine systems restarting, announced a voice in the alien language. Miller touched his radio. Garcia, what's happening? Their backup systems are coming online faster than expected, Garcia replied, his voice crackling with static. You have 3 minutes to get out of there. Miller made a quick decision. Change of plans. We're taking control of this ship. He gestured to 2 team members. Secure Grelzek. The rest of you, hold this room. Krillvack moved to a control panel. If we can access their main systems, we might be able to send commands to their entire fleet. As the team secured Grelzek with special restraints, the alien commander watched Miller with calculating eyes. You are either very brave or very foolish, Grelzek said quietly. Do you know why the Council truly fears humans? Miller ignored him, helping Krillvack with the controls. But the alien continued. Your species has something we have lost over millennia of dominance. Adaptability. Creativity. You change and grow stronger when faced with challenges. The rest of us, we stagnate. The ship's systems came fully online. On the main screen, Miller could see the battle raging around Earth. Council ships fought against Earth's defenses and the alien allies' vessels. Despite being outnumbered, the Earth forces were holding their own. I've accessed their communication network, Krillvack announced. We can broadcast to every Council ship and base in this sector. Miller stepped up to the command platform. This is Commander Jack Miller of Earth. We have captured High Commander Grelzek and taken control of the Council flagship. All Council forces are ordered to cease attacks immediately. For several tense moments, nothing happened. Then, one by one, the Council ships stopped firing. They're responding, Krillvack said, surprised. They're actually standing down. Grelzek sighed. Of course they are. Without clear leadership, Council forces follow protocol. And protocol says obey whoever controls the flagship. Miller turned to the alien commander. Now, we talk, not about surrender, but about a new relationship between Earth and the Council. Grelzek studied Miller's face. You still don't understand, human. The Council is not what it once was. We are stretched thin, facing rebellions on dozens of worlds. Your planet was to be our salvation, the resources we needed to maintain control. So you're desperate, Miller said. We are. Practical, Grelzek replied. And now, so must you be. Kill me if you wish. Take this ship. But know that the 3 ruling species will never accept defeat. Miller smiled. We don't want your defeat. We want change. He turned to the communication system again. This message is for all Council worlds and ships. The time of exploitation is over. Earth proposes a new galactic structure, one where all species have equal standing. Krillvack added, we're transmitting proof of Council deceptions to every world under their control. The truth about how they've manipulated and stolen for centuries. Grelzek watched as his empire began to crumble through simple words and reveal truths. His voice was quiet when he finally spoke again. What happens now, Commander Miller? Miller looked out at the stars visible through the ship's viewports. "Now I take you to Earth. You're going to meet our president, and we're going to write new rules for the galaxy." 3 months after the capture of Grelzex, the Grand Hall of the Galactic Council looked very different. Species of all kinds filled the chamber. Some had been council members before. Others were newly freed from council control. And standing at the center podium was Commander Jack Miller, now Earth's first ambassador to galactic society. For too long, this council existed to serve only a few, Miller said to the assembled aliens. Today we create something new, the Galactic Cooperative. Behind him stood President Warren, Dr. Hartman, Garcia, and representatives from Earth's governments. Across from them were delegates from the 3 former ruling species, the Zex, the Taurians, and the Velox. The Zex delegate rose. "We reject these changes. The old council served for 10,000 years. Who are humans to rewrite our laws after existing in space for mere decades?" Miller remained calm. "We're the species who proved the old way doesn't work, and we're not alone." He gestured to Krillvac and the other allied species. "Together, we represent the future. What stops us from simply taking back control once we leave this room?" the Zex delegate asked. Garcia stepped forward, activating a holographic display. "This does." The display showed thousands of small satellites positioned around dozens of worlds. Silent shield technology has been deployed to every planet that chooses to join the cooperative, Garcia explained. Any aggressive action against member worlds will be met with immediate defensive measures. The room erupted in shouts and arguments. President Warren raised her hand for silence. "We did not come here to threaten. We came to offer a better way forward." She nodded to Dr. Hartman. Hartman unveiled a document, the Charter of the Galactic Cooperative. Its first principle: all spacefaring species have equal representation. Resources are traded fairly, not taken. Knowledge is shared, not hoarded. Many delegates applauded. Some remained skeptical. The Velox representative stood. "The Velox vote to accept these terms," he said, surprising his fellow ruling species. "We have seen where the old path leads, to endless rebellion and eventual collapse." The Taurians followed the Velox example. Only the Zex stood firm against change. But they were now outnumbered. By day's end, the vote was clear. The Galactic Council was officially dissolved. In its place, the cooperative would guide interspecies relations. 1 year later, Miller stood on a viewing platform on Earth's moon, watching ships from across the galaxy arrive for the first cooperative summit. The broken lunar base had been rebuilt as a meeting place for all species. Garcia joined him, pointing to a particularly beautiful vessel with glowing blue engines. "That design uses the new drive system we developed with the Lumina. Twice as efficient and doesn't require rare Earth elements." "And the old council ships?" Miller asked. "Being converted or recycled," Garcia replied with a smile. "Turns out cooperation creates better technology than conquest." Dr. Hartman approached with a tablet. "The education exchange program is exceeding expectations. Over 500 alien scientists are teaching on Earth, and 1,000 human teachers have gone to other worlds." Miller nodded, looking out at the stars. "And Grelzex?" "Working with the transition team," Hartman said. "Surprisingly helpful now that he's accepted the change." President Warren arrived for the opening ceremony. As Earth's head of state, she would welcome the representatives from 47 worlds. "Ready for your introduction, Ambassador Miller?" she asked. Miller straightened his formal uniform. "As ready as anyone can be to help lead a galactic government." Warren smiled. "Remember when this all started? A single alien ship at the space station, making demands. They pushed too far," Miller said. "They thought we would just submit like other worlds. And instead we changed the galaxy," Warren replied. As they walked toward the grand chamber filled with beings from across the stars, Miller thought about how close Earth had come to becoming just another exploited world. How easily humanity might have surrendered to demands that seemed impossible to fight. Instead, they had refused to bargain on the Council's terms, and in doing so, they had created something better than victory. They had created peace.